Hi, my name is Ambry, and today I wanted to talk about my first trimester, kind of what I went through and my experience, and some things that helped me along the way. I had a very challenging first trimester for me personally. I definitely have had friends who had a really smooth first trimester and didn't really experience some of the things I did, and that is amazing, and I hope that most people can have a smooth first trimester, but that was not the case for me. Around 5 or 6 weeks is when I really started becoming nauseous over everything, and it slowly escalated from there. Food was just very challenging for me to, every mealtime, it was so hard to eat food for me. I just felt sick over everything. I had to stop eating meat for several weeks just because meat, the sound of meat or thinking of touching meat or just being around meat just grossed me out so much. So I could not eat meat. I couldn't even be around it or think about it. It was that bad. And grocery shopping was almost non-existent. Thankfully, my husband went a lot, and the times that I did go, I had to wear those C-bands, and I brought a big Ziploc bag with me just in case I were to have gotten sick. Thankfully, that did not happen, but it brought me comfort to have something on hand in case I was. And I had to quick go in the grocery store, get what I need, and get out of there because just being around food was overwhelming for me. Restaurants were really hard too. Before people knew we were pregnant and friends would suggest going to a restaurant, I had to kind of casually steer away from that, and thankfully I didn't have to go to many restaurants at all. For my husband's birthday, since I hadn't been cooking, I really wanted him to have a nice birthday meal, so for just that occasion, we went to Bonefish Grill, and the waitress was so sweet because all I ate was the bread and the olive oil. And thankfully my husband got a good meal, and she was understanding that I couldn't really eat anything. She even told me that one of the chefs, they were pregnant, and so and that poor chef was so nauseous. I can't even imagine being in a job that you're around food all of the time. That would be totally terrible for me. So I definitely empathize with her. That must have been really hard. So that was just very difficult. Like I said, I wasn't really cooking. I avoided my kitchen at all times. I just was really eating what sounded safe to me. It almost felt like I was in this constant state of getting over the flu. Like, I felt so nauseous and I didn't know what was safe to eat and what would make me sick, so I had to be like really careful. And so every meal that I had was, I kind of approached it that way, of like what's safe, like what can I eat. I really didn't have any cravings per se, just because I was trying to eat what I could and what sounded okay to me at the time. So that was very challenging with food, but I had to kind of figure out what worked for me, ways I could still add fruits and vegetables into my diet even though I didn't feel like eating them. So I had to really work hard at figuring out what I could do and what I could do to survive, really. So I definitely got sick multiple times a week, almost every day, thankfully not every day. So that was very challenging. I overall lost about 8 pounds, which is not the time I wanted to lose weight when I'm trying to grow and nourish a sweet little baby. I definitely felt pregnant. I had to wait 9 weeks for my first appointment, so at least that was kind of reassuring to feel pregnant. I'm like, there's no denying that I'm not pregnant. So if anything, it was okay to feel pregnant, even though it wasn't fun necessarily. But some things that I ate to help me, every morning I would try to have plain crackers that I had by my bedside. So when I woke up, I would try my best to eat a few before I got out of bed, which helped to kind of beat the nausea before it started. There was really no time frame when I felt the most nauseous. It just kind of hit me randomly, which wasn't always fun because there's no like pattern that I could keep up with or anything. So that helped for the mornings at least. I definitely would try to incorporate smoothies into my diet. I was such a big salad person, and in the first trimester I could not do a salad at all. So adding in spinach and kale to a smoothie really helped with fruits and other veggies. And something to help with protein, because I was not eating meat, like no chicken, beef, salmon, or shrimp. I was trying to incorporate protein in other ways to help me. And so I really love the Sun Warrior protein. The vanilla kind is really good. I would add some of this into my smoothies as well to add in that good protein and to try to fill myself up and get some good nutrients as well. So, and this is, I'm dairy free, so this is accommodating to that dietary need. And yeah, and I would also add in like chia seeds and hemp seeds and flax seeds and anything I could to sneak in as much protein and good things as I could, especially in the morning to kind of start my day right when it was difficult to start the days off with being so sick and exhausted all of the time. Another way I added protein in, I love Go macro bars. They're great on the go, and they have good protein in them, really good ingredients, and they are made with nut butters, so it's very good with protein and helping to fill you up and everything. So definitely love those so much. And I also was able to make some like wild rice and add in my dairy-free butter and get a little bit of protein that way too. And some soups I would try, like if they were like smooth, I didn't want anything chunky or like weird or too flavorful, as sad as it sounds, but that helped some of the time. Also applesauce, I would make applesauce or just buy good applesauce to have on hand, which really helped. I really was a fan of bread. Bread seemed safe to me, and I do not have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches very often, but my first trimester, sometimes that was what worked for me that day. So I would have that. If I could stomach it, I would have avocado toast to try to get some good healthy fat in my diet from avocados. And so if that worked, I would try it. Apples and carrots are sometimes safe. Some days, not all the days. A banana depended on my mood, of course, and what I was feeling. I can never say this right, but gnocchi, I would make gnocchi. It's usually made out of potatoes, but I would get the kind from Trader Joe's, the cauliflower kind. It's really good. And when I would actually be brave enough to go in the kitchen and cook for myself, I would make that and put a little bit of like olive oil and lemon, and that tasted okay to me some days, so I would go with that. It just really depended on how I was feeling in that moment and what worked for me and what felt safe. I was really, really thankful my mom had made us a few meals during that time, just because, like I said, I wasn't cooking, and it was just really nice and such a blessing to have that. So we were like very grateful. So there were some things that I think helped me when I was feeling very nauseous and sick, and I just tried multiple things in that moment when I was feeling really sick, and some of them helped a little bit and other times they didn't help, so I would just do everything. But something I did all of the time, where I got these C-bands. I got the ones that are can get really tight, so I would put these on my wrists and make them so tight so they would hit that point, that pressure point, to help stop the nausea. And sometimes I did think that they helped, but other times I'm not so sure. So it was worth it to give it a try. Something that sounds really silly, when I was home, and I always have lemon juice in my fridge just because when I buy lemons, they go bad, and so I love having lemon juice on hand. Sometimes I would just open this up and just breathe in the smell of lemon, and sometimes that actually helped me, as crazy as it sounds, and I would do anything in that moment to stop feeling sick. I would also make warm lemon water, so I would heat up some water and put some lemon in it, and that helped too sometimes. Also, some lozenges really helped. I tried Pink Stork and also Traditional Medicinals, which I really love this brand a lot. It just depended if I was feeling in the mood to actually have one or not. Some days I was not having it. Speaking of traditional medicinals, I love their ginger aid tea and also their peppermint tea. I would drink them, and ginger just really helps to settle your stomach when you're not feeling great, so that was great to have. I also use these ginger trips chewable ginger chews, and they are so helpful when I could actually take them. This kind is sweet and has a better taste than other kinds I've had, so I definitely recommend this too. So I have been working with my chiropractor, who also works with nutrition, and he recommended Phosfood Liquid. It's a whole food supplement that you drop into water and drink, and it has a good taste, and it's made by Standard Process. This really helped me when I wasn't feeling good. I got clearance to take it from my doctor, so if you are interested, I highly recommend you ask if this is something that's good for you too. It is made by Whole Foods, but just checking is always great to know. So being outside and getting fresh air was really helpful to me. It did help that my first trimester was in the summer, so it was easier to do that. So I highly recommend getting out and just being outside. That really helps. Also, another thing that really helped was getting rest. I was so exhausted, so sick. So whenever I wasn't working or didn't have anything else going on, I would take a full advantage of naps. I would be in bed by 7 p.m. Just kind of funny when it's summer and it's so late outside at that time. But I just gave myself grace to sleep and rest when I could, because my body was making this sweet miracle baby, and I just really needed to rest and to, you know, give myself a chance to lay down and relax, and it made me feel better too when I wasn't feeling sick. So I highly recommend, if you're able to rest when you can. It's not easy when you already have children, but thankfully for me, this is my first child, so I was able to take advantage of that and soak in this time when it's my first pregnancy and I can rest. So before I was pregnant, I had this really great exercise routine down, and like felt so good about myself. And then once I was pregnant and the exhaustion and sickness hit, that changed and almost went out the window. I was a nanny this past summer, so I did get to swim a little bit and walk around with the boys I was nannying, but honestly, I did not exercise very much at all. A few times that my husband and I would attempt our usual walk around our whole neighborhood, was kind of sad, because I would make it like barely 2 blocks and would just be so slow, so out of breath, and so tired, and I would have to turn around and go home. And just knowing that that's okay, and just listening to my body and knowing that this was a season that I had to really take it easy and slow down, and that was okay, and that was what my body needed in that season. But it was just kind of funny to just see how much my body was changing in that time. I was so thankful that around 15 weeks or so, I started to feel better. I wasn't as tired. Thankfully, I started to incorporate more foods that I wasn't eating before, and I wasn't getting sick, which was so exciting. So there was a light at the end of the tunnel of my first trimester. There are some women who don't experience any of these things in their first trimester, and then there are also women who are just so sick their whole pregnancies, which I can't even imagine. But for most women, usually that first trimester, when they go into the second trimester, things get a lot better. So it's definitely reassuring to know. Pregnancy is such a gift. It is not easy getting pregnant, so I know even on those really hard days, I was just so grateful to experience everything that went along with the first trimester, just because I know that a lot of women want that, and I wanted that too. And so just not complaining. I mean, maybe I complained to my husband, but not complaining and just being grateful, and yeah, so that was a big thing for me. And also just knowing that it was okay to listen to my body and to slow down, get rest, and just, you know, find ways to make things easier on myself. So that was a big thing and it really helped me. And yeah, and just knowing that it's a season and that it will one day end, and just keeping that in mind.